people that come from our oil-rich areas in the country, all their kids are doing things to do with oil. That is the reality.
You have to have a vision. You have to have a vision and a mission. You be like, today, in future, I want this and this. Look how the country is. What is available for you? If all the country, these are doctors, find your own field.
Like the way the lucrative degrees are being chosen in the country, they are geographically distributed as well. You know,
people have one issue.
Okay.
They feel like when you do other course, you are dull and dumb.
Do you have any friends that are doing things to do with teaching courses?
I don't have people who are doing teaching. They have these issues of saying, "Halas, I'm doing law, I'm doing medicine, I'm very bright."
As to our returning subscribers, our veterans, we love you and we say welcome again and join us in this particular journey of podcasting. And to our newbies, welcome to the great fraternity of the Junubna podcast. So to each and everyone outside there, make sure that you do each and everything that is necessary to be able to push our page into the next line. So let's do everything so that we can be able to transform the podcasting industry in our country. So in our today's episode, we are joined by one of our law students from a prestigious university. So her name is Nyawal Moses, and I believe that before we delve into the conversation, I'll give her a chance to be able to introduce herself. Nyawal, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Okay, you're doing good. You know, last time on the show we had a guest, and she's actually an alumni of your school. So I did ask her about how she was doing, and she did say that she's good. And reaching that point, I did ask how she was doing, because people have normalized the word, you know, that I'm fine, and that most people are not doing good. And delving into that conversation, we really did realize that a lot of people are not actually fine in our society. People are not doing well.
Exactly.
So smiles actually have carried a lot, and they have like covered a lot of, you know, a lot of stress, depressions and things like that. But I'm also glad to hear that you are okay. I hope that the smile is not covering things up.
Exactly, I'm fine.
All right, that's good. So Nyawal, today's conversation I want us to have is, you know, decorated degrees versus reality. So by saying decorated degrees versus reality, you know, I mean there are some degrees that are people perceive that they are prestigious than others, you know, and when it comes to career selection, a lot of students, mostly back home, people tend to go for health sciences. You know, majority of people, they want to say, I want to do medicine, you know, engineering, and also law. These are the major things that, you know, a parent will be proud that their child, you know, has joined one of the diverse fields, you know, in the areas that I've mentioned. So, and this one leads to a room whereby there is a neglect, you know, into other fields. Let's say something to do with hospitality and tourism. People have, if everyone goes for a degree in, let's say, in engineering and also in medicine and also in law, it means that there is a degree somewhere that has been, you know, left behind and someone will not even attend to. So what is your view on decorated degrees versus the reality of life?
In actual sense, I would call that a bit ignorance, yes, especially when it comes to these issues of selecting other courses, because I've seen majority of students right now, they want to do medicine, and if they fail to get medicine, because obviously medicine is a very hard course. So in that point, if you fail to get medicine, you feel like your life is doomed, because you just want to become a doctor. But in actual sense, when you go to medicine, when you go to the hospitals, you find out there are different fields that people have studied. You find the person in the pharmacy, do you call that one also medicine? That is a pharmacist.
Absolutely true.
We go to people of, is it radiology, whatever, that is a different course. People in lab, this is a different course, and all the stuffs. So me, I call it ignorance. One of the reasons, because they only know that these courses, for example, the medical courses are always given money and all the stuff. The rest of them are useless. People are not mind nursing up to today.
Absolutely.
I have a friend. She told me she wanted medicine. She failed to get medicine. She wants to do public health, and she's like, if I don't get those courses, then my life is doomed. I'm off medical courses. You can still be a nurse.
Sure.
Yeah, you can still be a nurse. And second to that, people fear doing some jobs that they're not going to get work. Especially right now in the current situation that we are in, especially in South Sudan. There are courses you can do. but you don't get employed.
Sure.
Yeah, you do some courses, you don't get employed. So people just go with courses that are in market. Second to that, others see you how you look like, then they'll be like, you're fit with this course. You're supposed to be a doctor.
Absolutely.
When I was young, some relative of mine called me Nyakim, doctor.
Yeah.
Okay, Nyakim is a name, but
she's a doctor now.
They calls me doctor.
They call you doctor. Oh,
yeah, but actually I have nothing to do with medical field.
You have to get a PhD for that case.
I have nothing to do with medical field.
Yeah.
Even the course I'm studying right now, I'm a law student, probably graduating next year because I'm in my 4th year.
Okay.
So in this case, very many people reached out to me. Nyawal, are you going to manage law? I'll be like, why? You are very quiet. Law is for people who can talk a lot, people who can interact. Yes, in actual sense, I'm sure whoever knows me physically, I'm really a quiet person. I'm very quiet, and sometimes I call myself introvert, but I don't think I am, but maybe I am in that case.
Yeah.
But the point is here, they always tell me, why do you want to do law? In South Sudan, there are no market for law students. In South Sudan, you're not going to get job. You go to South Sudan, you graduate, you do that degree of yours, you will end up doing something else. Maybe you end up doing business and something like that.
Yeah.
So in that case, sometimes like some courses are there, but you have to know the value of a course.
Absolutely.
You have to know the value of the course you're going to do.
Wow, that's a great submission. And also to add into your context that, people are telling you that you are doing that law and you will end up not getting a job in the country. I can concur and agree with that 100%. I saw a recent post where, a lot of new lawyers were admitted into the bar, in South Sudan, and they are saying that most of the lawyers are congested within the capital, and that's why there are a lot of things that are going on, illegal things that are going on within the states, because either they cannot be able to access the court's room, or even like to hire for themselves lawyers to be able to represent them, at the courtrooms as well. So I think this is a challenge that is affecting our nation in that particular angle. But if we look into it this way, I feel like, for the term a degree to be decorated, it has got some history that is always associated with it. Because now if we look at an aspect of decorated degrees, for a parent to be able to say that I want my son, I want my daughter, I want my child, my nephew or niece, to be an engineer, I want them to be a doctor, I want them to be a lawyer. So they got an inspiration from somewhere, I believe that there is a child somewhere that did well in the very field, so they want to try and maybe get the success of that particular person and also try to bring it to their own family. Because if then they failed to be able to get it by themselves, the only way for them to succeed maybe is by pushing the same pressure into their kids, of which most cases, these kind of careers that we are forced into doing, most of us, don't find, passion in them. You end up doing something that you like, As for me, I have a life story. Some time back, my dad really wanted me to pursue medicine. He would tell me that, my son, I want you to be a doctor. I would look at him like this, then I will tell him that, what, for me, I cannot sit in the hospital. That is a reality. I don't have time to sit down and also listen to people's problems, the patients themselves, and also I don't have time for diagnosis and things like that. He goes, that you'll just be a doctor, your work is just diagnosis. The rest of the people, they will handle the other things, of which my dream is some way far beyond, medicine, even the medical field, of which I've kept up to now, because I've just always been someone to do things with technology. That's why I've ended up being in the College of Engineering and Technology, something like that. So if you look, career guidances in schools are things that are given to students, They come and tell students that which field do you want to do. So most students, they don't put their performance into consideration. You find a low-performing student, they want to do things like medicine, and you find a low-performing student, they want to do engineering, and the same way to law, and other prestigious, mention them, economics, But these things, sometimes things are not, it is not just your calling, Today you can do your own engineering, end up somewhere else that where your calling is. We know them, we have colleagues in the country, they did engineering, but now they're in the media space, they are there. So this I think the people we don't have counseling, and also guidance. And if we look at also our economy as well, it's not favoring each and everyone, because our economy is still too naive, and I feel like we have a lot of things that we can be able to get out of it. look, some courses right now, they are not yet hiring that much, and they're only hiring maybe in hotels, because our tourism, let's say you do something, do hospitality and tourism, our tourism industry is still down, right? So if we get the number of students that graduate yearly from University of Juba, from that school, I doubt. I don't know how many are they, you know. And also, say, people who are doing things to do with veterinary medicine as well, the only hope they have is for them to work in NGOs, right? Exactly. So they don't actually have hopes maybe of working outside an NGO firm. So it has kind of like diminished hope and faith for the students also to be able to have passion. And also right now, I don't think even we shall have people that will just go to the field and be like, I want to do a research on such particular field, or, you know, or such principle. So with that thing being emphasized that there are only some angles or people will focus on, then I think as a nation we are doomed. If we take a statistics right now, most of the people, they are doing medicine, engineering courses, law, economics, or business management. Done. I believe that is where we are as a country. Even agriculture itself right now, I think we should start maybe calling up for people to be able to take, you know, such fields seriously, for them to be able to come up, you know. And the other fields that people tend, you know, the economy like controls everything. The oil sector, let's talk about job opportunities in the oil sector, because I feel like also right now people tend to choose careers, you know, that are much more oriented with our oil sector. Each and every
because it is available in the market, they're going to get the jobs, so they go with such courses.
Absolutely. You cannot, I think each and every one of us has got a friend that is doing something related to oil, you know. Yes, you can have a friend that is doing petroleum engineering, you know. The same thing can happen to me, you know. The same thing to our audience also watching us right now. They know one or two people that are doing what? Petroleum engineering. Mention them, chemical, manufacturing industry. They are there, you know. Only that because what? Because such fields, you know what? They are favoring them. But also, if you look into the reality of life in general, how do you feel that do these decorated degrees actually work in reality?
In actual sense, they don't work.
Okay.
Yeah, they literally don't work. You will study a course thinking that one day when you graduate, you go back home within the country, you think you're going to get a job, but that degree is useless. Yeah, sure. You're not going to use it. Yeah. You have high GPA. Yeah. You did well actually in your class. You've been doing well, and your GPA is so high, but they're not going to use it.
Absolutely.
They're not going to use it.
You know, students become frustrated when, you know, when you sacrifice, let's say, 5 years of law school, then, you know, you come to the country with too much expectations. Your aunties are expecting, I believe, the nights to your graduation, you didn't even sleep, you know. Then days later, the reality hits you, you know. And that reality is that, you know what, there is no job actually for you. Then the prestigious degree that you actually like yearned for and went to study for 5 years, you know, you end up what? Not having it, or even like it ends up being what? Purposeless, you know. I think that is the hardest reality that is hitting us currently.
It's actually the hardest reality that is hitting us now. For example, now we've been in Uganda. Absolutely. Most of South Sudanese have been in Uganda.
True.
When you go to those small places, these men that make business selling chapati chukumando, you find these people are really studied, all right? Yeah. They've gone through high school, they passed senior 4, passed senior 6, they've reached university. But again, you even find them intelligent. By the way, when somebody is intelligent, it's not about them passing their classes, having going to school and all the stuff. You can see from the way they interact to you, you know that this person is very intelligent and very bright. So in that case, you find those chapati men, when they speak English to you, others even go ahead and advise you. Yeah, sure. Then you wonder, oh my God, this person is supposed to be in the office somewhere. He's here selling chapati, having a small business and all the stuffs. So the things like those decorated degrees, they don't work out. You waste your energy doing them, everything has become okay, you think you have job, but job is not there.
You know,
job is not there.
What pains me most, you know, there is a story I gave in the previous episodes, and of a graduate from the School of Economics. I think he did his degree in Egypt, and for him he ended up being jobless. He started, you know, hawking charcoal within the capital, and that really pained me when I saw the story. You can consider that that's already a decorated degree actually, because we cannot mention like 4 degrees in social sciences, you know, without mentioning economics, you know. yeah, it's really doing well. So for him, he ended up being jobless, and he had to do what he had to do, charcoal. So that is something that actually like shocked me. That's how like job opportunities among the youths, the way they have been scarce, and it has led to people, you know, even the ones that are doing lucrative degrees, at the end of the day being jobless. We've known people who have done engineering, but they are still jobless in the country because only that the opportunities are too limited, and the alignment in which the opportunities are shared, most of the people consider them, you know, they are not kind of fair, you know, things are not done straight, things are not done the right way. And I think this is something that all of us should advocate for. We should be given equal say, equal opportunities, so that the nation also can be favorable to us, because every degree is actually meaningful. Because right now, if we don't have someone that has done hospitality and tourism, and I expect to go on a holiday, let's say with my wife, you know, I won't have someone to be, well, maybe to welcome me in that particular hotel that I'll be in. You know, there is a lot of, you know, differences, you know, in our salary expectation at most cases. That's why we can go for a decorated degree, and at the end of the day, let's say you go back to the country right now, you are saying that law is no longer paying that much, and the job market for lawyers in the country, South Sudan, is no longer favorable, or is no longer that good. So if a law firm wants to hire you, you know, you won't accept a law firm maybe to hire something less than let's say $1,000 will be around £6 million maybe, right? That's the approximate we can give. And you, as someone that went to school, spent 5 years, you know, you have expectations from your family, you have expectations from yourself as an individual and the society at large, you know. So you even feel like that £6 million is nothing. Look into the inflation of the country. So at the end of the day, you'll be frustrated. And being jobless, what will happen? If someone comes and offer you like, let me give you 200 or 300, a side hustle, what will happen? You'll end up picking the 300, right? So I don't know, what's your view on that, you know? Salary expectations, you know, on the decorated degrees versus the reality that we face whenever we go outside there, the communities.
Actually, in that part of the reality, okay, these issues of doing some courses, I see it's for prestige.
Yeah.
And our family members want us to do those courses because at least they want people to know in the community, I'm doing this course and whatever stuff.
Absolutely.
In actual sense, as you said, there are some courses that we need to go for so that we can earn. So there are very many courses. Now the issues of hotel management and tourism, people are going to ignore it. But in actual sense, when you go out there, there are jobs that are available for you, even earn more than those people do medicine, pharmacy, whatever, in the other course, and law, Absolutely. Something like that. So in that case, you have to have a vision. You have to have a vision and a mission. You be like, today, in future, I want this and this. Look how the country is. What is available for you? If all the country, these are doctors, find your own field. Because if you're the only person there, you're going to get a lot.
Absolutely.
If it is case of money, you're going to get the money. And if you know people, you have families, South Sudanese, we are very big. You have to take care even your grandparents that have not been there with you, your relatives that are very far there. So that course, like people will see in the community, like that course, the way it sounds, it does not make sense. They want here doctor, pilot. Do we even have pilots in South Sudan? Maybe we have. Maybe we
have 1 or 2 or 3 pilots. I believe they are there. And recently, in the recent years, they have been posting, you know, first female pilots and stuff like that. But in the other sense, you've just like said some nice point here that it's too much pressure from our parents. They want to be called, you know, the dad of a doctor, the mother of a doctor, you know, a lawyer, an engineer, and I don't know. So in the sense of this, so they will even put much more pressure into the younger ones to be able to pursue the same fields that the elder ones or those who have gone ahead of them to pursue as well. So, and which is something that has kind of, you know what, brought a lot of frictions, you know, into personal interest also and parental interest, because your guardian or your parent might have something that is way much different from what you are having. And if you look into the frustration a lot of people face is that you go to school, you expect a lot of money, but at the end of the day, you become depressed of whatever that the reality hits you hard. Wow, this degree was not what I expected, you know, to get out of it, because you'd expect that immediately you graduate, you know, with the prestigious degree you did, you know, you'll get a job into a lucrative firm, get good amounts of money, you know, and stuff like that. But the ground, they say that the ground is always different. And actually the people that are always from the ground, they know how things work. Mostly now for a student that is doing things far away from home, let's say for you, you're not familiar with the ground and you don't know actually how the ground works, So you are studying right now, and the way you have gotten information about low market, the low major market in the country, it's not favoring. And at the end of it all, you might even end up going to work for, a foreign firm, and such, we tend to lose a lot of talents, because if our own young graduates are going to be hired by foreign firms to work for them, that as a nation cost us a lot, because it's like we are milking a dead cow at the end of the day, or a dying cow, So we are taking students out of the country to go and study, but at the end of because we ourselves, we don't provide the same opportunities that we send them out to go and study for. They'll go and look for farms outside there for them to study. I feel like that is something that is kind of disturbing, in which we need to look into as a nation. There are a lot of skills that actually nowadays, there is something that people are debating about. Degrees versus the skills, They say that what you learn in class and what you find in the field are two different things. People nowadays, they have a different feeling, They say that the theoretical aspect of learning plus the practical one is something that is kind of different. So all that we get in class from our lecture halls, and what is actually in the field, our field of practice. Let's say for you now, you are doing law. You are learning a lot of theories now in class. So by the time you get into your field of practice, things are kind of different. I don't know how you feel about it right now, because we tend to go and face a lot of challenges that are way much more different and difficult from what we face in class. Challenges of which we are not actually prepared for as individuals. In class, you wouldn't be told, right, this is how to be able to navigate from one company to the other. If you are not employed, this is how you're supposed to move forward with life if things go hard in this particular angle. I believe you are just told how to defend your client, how to ensure that they are given, if they are at all guilty, they're supposed to be given the rightful sentence, and stuff like that, And for me, I'm being told things to do with stability of structures in my end, I'm not being told on how to be able to move from one place to another in case I lose a job, how I'm supposed to be able to navigate life in reality. What's your view on that?
In that point, actually, we are studying the theoretical part of most of the courses.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
True.
These issues of practical part, which we call a skill, it's not there.
Yeah.
Now for the issue of the hospitality.
Yeah.
Sometimes in class they will teach you, but when you come and do it practically, now let me say the cashier at the bank, you are an accountant. Yeah. What they teach you in class is different from that in the
Absolutely.
bank. You come, you have your, how do you call it? I almost said clients.
Yeah.
Your customers come to you and you are very tired, you're so exhausted. Like you lose it all. You end up being frustrated, arguing with people and all this stuff. But in actual sense, in class, they don't teach you how to become polite, how to conduct things. And it's also the same course now, for example, now the law student. Here in Ethiopia, everything is it's optional.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Right now, most of it, we have the theoretical part of law. This practical part of people going for the moot court competition and all this stuff, sometimes it's just a choice.
Yeah.
And because of the language barrier, you find it like you don't care. What I want is just the degree, and I go with it. At the end of the day, what are you going to learn?
The skills are not with you.
There is no skill. I might be doing well, yes, doing well in my class. One time when I'm going to the court, they will end up hanging my client.
Wow, that will be like, how is it called, the worst scenario ever, because, your first client is someone that is hanged, it will linger in your head for the rest of your life. But it's something that is nice, the reality and the expectations of the society, these are two things that will end up being in too much friction for the rest of our life if we don't end up, addressing our very own issues. As I said earlier, our society has got expectations, and there are degrees that we can be able to do. Let's say right now, for the people that come from our oil-rich areas in the country, all their kids are doing things to do with oil. That is the reality. And either oil or environmental fields, right? Because as we get out the minerals, there's also environmental degradation that is taking place. So they wouldn't want some people, to be hired from outside. So your uncle just tells, my son, go need something to do with environmental science, so that at the end of the day, the farm that is dredging oil from that end will have to employ you, because you'll be an environmentalist for them. And also you'll have the advantage of what? Of being a native. Well, that is something that is well appreciable, you know, but it leaves the society at a greater cost, you know, because look into it right now. Let's give ourselves one of the places that is maybe having oil in the country. The audience also can do that study for them. So in that particular area, if all students are pursuing things to do with petroleum engineering, chemical engineering, and then they are doing environmental engineering, okay, it leaves also us at stake. Perhaps the nurses will be brought from outside by foreign NGOs, right? So the locals have placed at stake, you know, field of what? Field of medicine. So there won't be anyone that is pursuing, you know, health sciences within the society, because they believe that the only resource that we have at hand is oil, and we must exploit it to the fullest. And I think that is one of the things that has pushed forth, you know, for students in those areas, you know, or parents to be able to push for the people to go after such lucrative degrees, you know, going to areas, let's say Eastern Equatoria, you know, there is gold there, right? And most of the people the other side just go for a degree, you know, mining, engineering, geology, something like that. And most of the people are going for mineral sciences, you know, just to ensure that tomorrow I have to secure what? I have to secure a deal in this particular what? In this particular site, you know. I feel like the way the lucrative degrees are being chosen in the country, they are geographically distributed as well, you know, because if you look also into people also from the western part of Equatoria, most of them, if someone doesn't do, how is it called, medicine, they end up doing agriculture, you know, because they have arable land in that particular area. Yeah, so tomorrow, so if medicine doesn't work with you, you can venture into the business of agriculture, you know, and what happens at the end of the day? You employ yourself, self-employment, you become an entrepreneur, sell your products, and also what? Get money. I think this is something that is also happening. I don't know, also of the north, the people that are very close to the north, most of them, they are pursuing things to do with oil and also environmental studies. What is your say on the lucrative degrees being geographically distributed or selected by parents or also by the students themselves in our country?
So my view about the geographical distributions of the job and something like that, I feel, to me, it's not okay. I'm not okay with it because there is a diversity of economy.
Absolutely.
At least some people from other region have to enter your region to gain the work there.
Absolutely.
So instead of the kids of the same region studying the same courses and they know that they're going to get jobs in their same region, it doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Absolutely.
So at least people from other virus region have to study the courses, different courses. They have to go to your region. Then they will also work from there. For you, the people of this region, you can look for other jobs, like the issues of going to other regions and study there.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, Nyawal, let me ask you a question. Do you have any friends that are doing things to do with teaching courses?
I don't have people who are doing teaching, but I have relatives.
Okay.
Yeah. I have my uncle. He's doing teaching and he's teaching in Juba.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is your view on people not doing teaching, you know? I don't know. People feel like the teaching is not that good. How do you feel about that?
You know, just since I feel bad about people who say some courses are not, they don't value other courses. Like teaching is also important in a society.
Yeah. Training
kids becoming better doctors, because the people who are teaching us right now, they are teachers.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but they keep on undermining them. But in a society, in a country, and everywhere, teachers have to be there. Yeah. So I don't feel good about people undermining other courses just because of their big courses and all their stuff.
Yeah.
It doesn't work out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, they say that there is no degree that is greater than the other. All of them have equal measure and equal importance into the society. And with that, you know, degrees being equal, I think like all of us should treat each other in equal. And also into the diversification of the economy, it's something that...
But wait, people have one issue.
Okay.
They feel like when you do other course, you are dull and dumb.
But that is the hardest truth and the hardest reality.
Yeah, they say, now for people, if you go for medicine, they think you are bright.
And also like...
When you go for agriculture, farming, they think you are dull, you cannot do medicine. But in actual sense, there are people...
Actually, our audience will agree to that. Our viewers will agree to that.
Studying in Ethiopia has taught me one thing.
Okay.
Yeah. During my freshman year, I've been with people who don't speak even English.
Yeah.
but when they do well actually
in class.
All right.
Yeah.
Then I have my best friend.
Yeah.
She graduated. She did logistic in Agri campus. I mean in the Yergalem, the business campus, the branch of HAWASSA.
Yeah.
She told me, "What do you want to do?" Honestly, I told her, in case I'm given law, I would do it because that's what I came for.
Absolutely.
But if I'm not given the course, then I'll look for any other course that I can do.
Absolutely.
Then she told me, by the way, law is very good. All right. She told me, I love lawyers, I love being law, but that's not my calling. And when you see her results, she's better than us. People who are doing law right now, she's better than us. But just because she didn't want to do law, not because to them they think law it's a very big very big field. Yeah, but sometimes it's just a matter of choice. That showed me like not all courses are what? All courses are the same. Actually, there is no other course is better than the other one, and there's no other course that is better than the other one. But Junubin, they have these issues of saying, "Halas, I'm doing law, I'm doing medicine, I'm very bright."
By the way,
even these issues of art and sciences in high school, they say art students are lousy. They cannot do medical courses.
But let me pause you before you continue. I remember in my class, in my school, so there used to be a beef between the arts and the science students. You know, whenever we have maths lectures, people feel like the people for science, because we were few in numbers, so we'll be combined in the same class. So people who are doing science, they feel like they knew math more than the other one, the other class. And, you know, and I feel like with that, the society has taught the arts students, you know, that you are lower than the others. And which is something very dangerous. And also talking about the dump aspect of it, you find that those ones who are doing the courses that are termed as prestigious, you know, they carry themselves with much more pride than others in the society, of which I don't feel. Actually, I agree with you. So, Nyawal, I wanted to give you a final submission, you know, on what is your feeling on these lucrative degrees or the decorated degrees versus the reality that we face outside as the youth, you know, the society in general, and also from the economy that is going to employ us, that is the government itself, and also the foreign bodies that are going to employ us at the end of the day. What is your feeling about these degrees and the reality that we face outside there?
So in my conclusion to that, I would say you go for what you want, all right? And second to that, don't do courses just because people are doing them and because of prestige, because of family members and all the stuff. So the only thing I can say, see the actual world, all right? Know where there is job. No, because right now you do a course and you don't get the job. Go to the field whereby it is isolated.
Absolutely.
Because in the country there are a lot of things that can be done and you can get money. At least go for something you can manage. Sometimes people go for courses and they don't manage. They always fail the courses every time. You're not managing it. So in that case, don't stress yourself about it. Just go for a cheap course that people undermine in the country.
Wow.
Don't there are courses that you have to go for, not because of the family members. All right. So go for a course you're going to get job. Don't regret studying a course for 6 to 7 years that you're not going to do. You can even go for a course of 3 years, as long as figurush, you have to go for it.
Wow. So Nyawal, I'm glad that you are there to our call and appeared on our podcast today. So we would want to say thank you and may God bless you. So for our viewers, to me, what I can say as my submission is that, so let us leave our kids and also the people, our students, to be able to choose careers that are worth it to them, you know, careers that are worth to the society, because at the end of the day, all of us will contribute positively into the change of our society of today. You know, let us not coerce people to do things that they are not willing to do, because if we force them into such, at the end of the day, there will be a lot of frictions between them, the economy, and also the parties involved in the employment sector. So from us today, we are not just saying that there are degrees that are way better than others, but we will tell you that, you know what, all degrees are the same and they are of equal measure and equal importance to the society. From us at the Junubna podcast, we say thank you for being with us. Don't go away. We have more aligned for you.